Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to another edition of the X-Zone, the week before Christmas. And once again, these years go by so fast. And if you'd like to find out more about our Christmas broadcast scheduling that we have, go to www.xzbn.net. And of course, for all the great programming available to you on Simul TV, you can watch the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV by going to www.simultv.com. And of course, Simul TV is also available on Roku and other online distribution centers. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is a gentleman I've had the pleasure of knowing for many years. His name is Hassan Jaffer, and he is a noted astrologer and palmist who has appeared several times coast to coast in the U.S. and Canada, not to mention numerous radio and television networks. Hassan uses his skill to answer questions about predestiny and free will. He combines the logic of his engineering background with his acute sensitivity to human nature to explain the complexities of human experiences and foreseeing opportune trends through astrology. Hassan has analyzed thousands of charts, from Renaissance masters to Nobel Prize winners, and uses his research to help his extensive clientele ranging from media personalities, movie stars, politicians, royalty, actors, tycoons, businessmen, to anyone interested in controlling their destiny. If you'd like to find out more information about Hassan, his two websites are astrotrends.net and Astrology, astrocycles.net. And joining me now from his offices in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, is Hassan Jaffer. And Hassan, to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, my friend.
Hi, Rob. Same to you. How are you? So nice to hear from you also.
Nice talking to you again. Here we are, the end of a year, and a lot of people wonder in these trying times and these times of what seem to be political unrest, what lies ahead. And as being one of the top 5 astrologers in the world, what do you see for the year 2020?
You know, something very, very interesting has happened. That Jupiter was in the sign of Sagittarius from end of last year till the first week of December. And Sagittarius is a sign for immigration and all that, and liberal values and all that. And there was a major, like a bonanza for all the immigrants all around the world. It's like a free aspect and all these themes. And now, and I predicted in October, and that for the first week of December, Jupiter goes into the sign of Capricorn, right till about December of 2020. And there'll be conservative values, more hard work, no more freebies, no more handouts, no more any of these themes, and that the conservatives have a much better chance. And there'll be major constructions and buildings and all that, and that Boris Johnson will probably get a majority this election, and the Brexit, just the beginning, and the Brexit will go through, probably in January or February maximum, but it'll get so, and that's exactly what has happened. And there's a shift in the masses, and people don't realize that. They're just beginning to see that. From the first week of December, it has started. And you can see it, actually. So all the conservative aspects that are starting. So that'll continue throughout next year. And it's sort of a heavy cycle for some people, but it's a very, very productive. It's good for rewards. For people who have worked hard, you get the rewards. But it's like a taskmaster. It does make you work hard also. But in the manufacturing sector and the building, some major, huge projects. And to me, the border wall, all that part will be built throughout next year. The road constructions, massive things with China, with all that, throughout the Middle East, also major reconstructions. It's one of the best aspects for that, actually.
So according to what I just heard, 2020 is going to be a very prosperous year.
It is, but people will have to work for it also.
Well, doesn't that make sense? You know, you and I are both business people. We've been in our respective businesses for a great number of years, and we know from personal experience, no pain, no gain.
Yeah, in my case, I wish I was a bit of a businessman, actually. I gave out 480 projects just to see what the highest potential of children and youth and all that. But I've come to some very interesting things. You know, I was listening to one of your programs, actually, Extraterrestrials and all that, and I found that December 19th of 2020 till December 2021 would be one of the best times for all the UFOs, extraterrestrials. If there's anything to it, it'll be found at that time, when Jupiter moves in the next sign, which is Aquarius. And some of the signs are already starting, like, for example, all the Uber and all many of these driverless cars. It'll be the virtual world. Right now, it's a very realistic and mortar and cement and all that, while it's in Capricorn. But in December 2020, it's a mass communication, the 5G, extremely fast. It's like the whole virtual world you'll really see for 1 year, and that'll start. And even, for example, you know, during this Boris Johnson, there were 700 automated, these computerized journalistic, the news that went out. Humans couldn't do it that fast. There were individuals, 700 of these things. They were sent out, using artificial intelligence. So that's going to happen. I believe that extraterrestrial and all these magnetic things and all that EMF technology and all that will be at its peak, and there'll be major against around that time.
All right, let's just let me ask you a blunt question about the 2020 presidential election in the U.S. Who's going to win?
I already predicted when Hillary was at the top. I said that Trump's going to be a 2-time president. His planets were the very bottom, but he'll be a 2-time president. That's exactly what I predict.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm not a psychic and I'm not an astrologer. But it's
you know what's really interesting? I said at that time the reason why I wanted him to be I'd say that he'd be president. I said he's like a saint and a con artist put together. Most politicians have the Mercury Neptune, and they cannot separate truth from fantasy and all that. But it's really interesting. Later on, I found out that his father's middle name was Christ, and his mother's name was Mary.
Oh my gosh!
But what's really interesting is that 666, the building owned by Jared Kushner. So there's the devil part.
Well, you see, this is where I kind of disagree with people who say that 666 is the number of the beast. My personal opinion is it's not 666, it's WWW.
No, you're absolutely right. That also. And many people did talk about it because I think the Hebrew letter of 6 does resemble W.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, because there's so much negativity on the internet, if it doesn't have to be true, there's no vetting. It's just people mouthing off. And I've said this before, Hassan, that the internet is the greatest and largest septic tank that humans have ever created because there's nothing in it but a lot of crap.
And it's going to be much faster now.
Yeah.
And a lot of things will be done by the computers. But you know what's really interesting? I was doing the chart of the fellow who started the Illuminati thing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, were these people really evil? And I looked at his chart. It was a brilliant chart. And I saw his ideology. So here was a person who was absolutely brilliant, same as Mozart and Steve Jobs and Chopin and Thomas Alva Edison, but he was not wise. What he wanted was a utopian society, and what he said, that there should be only so many billion people to sustain the world and all that, so that everybody can be happy.
Right.
But he gave equal opportunity to both the evil and the good, without realizing that it only requires 10% of the radical people to create a revolution.
Yeah, that's right.
And the same thing with the internet. You may have all kinds of seers and saints and all these people in their own world, but you get 10% of the evil force, and it takes over. So that's exactly what happened. He didn't say that do this to have wars to sustain to contain the population. He just said that we need a smaller population. He didn't say do it. He was calling about what would be the ideal society. That's all.
One of our staff here knew that you were coming on the show later on today, and they asked me to ask you a question.
Yes.
With the diminished authority of Pluto as being a planet, how does that affect the astrological charts?
Well, the thing is, that whatever the astronomers say, that it doesn't matter because it does fit the Bode's law perfectly, Pluto. And Pluto represents once in 246-year age group. Like, for example, people who were born in the, with Pluto and Virgo, and immediately you saw the whole food and all these organic things come up. Then it went to Scorpio, for example, now, and all these Wall Street things and all these things that you see these revolutions happening every year. But the main thing is to see it has nothing to do with the constellations or anything. It has only to do with the sun's path, and which is the ecliptic, and the earth's path. That's it. And 21st March is the beginning, and you divide this whole thing into 12 segments. And it's nothing else. That's all astrology is. Everything in life has 12 stages. Every project has 12 stages. The beginning part is Aries. The promotional part is the Leo. Like the manufacturing part is the Capricorn. Like all these stages that you see in life, all these 12 aspects, it's absolutely amazing. But what I found interesting, and in Bible, when they talk about the Son of God, S-U-N, the God Ra, they used to pray to God Ra. Most Jewish people don't know that Israel is actually Isis, Ra, and El, the three pharaonic gods. And Ra was the sun god.
All right, we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, let's talk about this because I find it very interesting. Hassan Jaffer is our special guest, X-Zone Nation. And if you'd like to find out more about Hassan, here are two websites. www.astrotrends.net. That's www.astrotrends.net. And his second website, astrocycles.net. That's astrocycles.net, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as the X-Zone continues from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Patty Conklin grew up in Brooktondale, New York with a unique ability. Unlike others, she could see how the vibration of words and emotions affected the physical body. She discovered how to release stored emotion and facilitate healing. This began today's Conklin method of cellular cleansing. The private practice grew with tremendous results, as did her reputation. More and more people sought her out, bringing her into the home for healing. She soon realized she could even teach this to others, and they could shift perception and thus prevent illness from occurring. Patty Conklin quickly became a frequent keynote speaker, and she developed a curriculum for teaching the Conklin method of cellular cleansing. For more information, visit pattyconklin.com. PATTICONKLIN, pattyconklin.com, or call 404-474-0086. That's 404-474-0086.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and on January the 18th of 2020, we will be celebrating our 30th year broadcasting the X Zone radio and TV show. So to you, the members of the X Zone Nation, thank you very much. It's because of you that we've been able to sustain longevity in this very, very volatile and competitive industry of the of media. But thanks to you, the listeners, you've spread the word around the world, and thanks to Steve Turner and the great gang at Simul TV, as well as all the different affiliates that we have around the world. Thank you. We're looking forward to a great year next year, 2020, as we celebrate 30 years of broadcasting. Hassan Jaffer is our special guest, www.astrotrends.net and astrocycles.net. And before we went to the commercial break, Hassan, you were telling us about the three basic gods where the Son of God comes from. That is so interesting.
Well, in the Pharaonic gods, they used to have Isis, Ra, and God. And the god Ra was the sun god, S-U-N. Yeah. This is 10,000 years before Christianity in the Assyrian culture. Babylon. And then, what's really interesting is that on 25th December, when the sun is at the very bottom in the tropic of Capricorn, it used to be in front of the sign of the cross, and they used to call it and in front of the Virginis constellation, the Virgo. So they used to say that the Son of God who died on the cross, because the Southern Cross in the background, and who was born of the Virgin and died in front of the cross, and then or on the cross, and then 2 days later it used to start going up, and they used to call it the resurrection of the Son of God. Now, so the church took exactly the same thing, that pagan holiday.
Right.
It did the birth of the Son of God, S-O-N. But so it's quite interesting how this thing coincides with that.
Well, let me ask you this. As an astrologer,
yes,
what would the astrological chart be of Jesus Christ born on December the 25th?
I don't think he was born in December. I really think he was born around March, April.
Yeah, but I mean based on the Christian calendar. What would the astrological chart of Jesus be?
he definitely would have had Sagittarius rising on something very philosophical, Leo in the 9th house, very close to the truth, with the divine truth. And that's a sun connection, also the Leo connection, the father theme. And also some Piscean aspect, because when you think of the highest form of love, the most sacrificing, to have the divine aspect, you really think of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like the purest form, like it brings out the best in you. It touches off, the most beautiful aspect, the most inspirational aspect in your chart. That's what I find. But the last 2 days, I was looking at Elvis's chart, and I went to the forum, and they were trying to figure out his time of birth. And they figured out to be about like 3:30. And Rudyard, Dane Rudyard, he was a famous astrologer, he had rectified it to 34. So I looked at the chart, and there were so many different events, and I've never seen something where 1 minute could make a difference. And I rectified it to 3:29. And they said, how is that possible? So I gave them 2 instances. I said, when Moon was in Pisces, the sign of the water and ocean and all that, in the 4th house, which is the home, they bought the first swimming pool in Graceland. That's one event. But the most important event is Saturn in the 9th house if you take 3:30, when his father passed away, the moon, Saturn would have been in the 9th house. If you take 1 minute off, if you make it 3:29, would have been the 10th house, which is the father. It is like a clockwork. And the Apathy agreed that this is correct. But what's Apathy incredible, that his father actually died 2 years after Elvis passed away. In other words, and I wrote an article that the horoscope belongs to the soul. It never dies. If you take Princess Diana's chart, Moon was in a 7th house, about to go in the 8th house. And 7th house is marriage and marriage partner. And
okay, hold on here. I'm still trying to get my head around Elvis's father died 2 years after Elvis did.
And still shows in his chart, exact, like a clockwork. But if I take 3:30, it's in the 9th house. If I take 3:29, it's in the 10th house, the major genetic axis, and 10th house, the father passing away, it shows up. So the children and grandchildren, you can trace generations in the chart.
Okay, now, how do we know when Elvis's father died?
Because we have the exact date, everything.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right,
and it's Saturn, so it doesn't change the whole day.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get back to Lady Diana.
Yes. So Moon was in the 7th house, she's married and all that, and she was with Dodi, and he was giving her a ring and all that. Went to the 8th house, and one of the things I've said in my astro calendar, one of the best programs in the world, you can become an astrologer literally in 5 minutes. So it went to the 8th house, where you get a lot of money and all that. She got a 250,000-pound ring. But it also says morbid thoughts and about life and death, etc. I wrote that also. I'm never going to say that people are going to die, because it used to be called the house of death, but it's more like insurance and all these themes, Anyway, she passes away. 2 days later, it went to the 9th house. And if you see this, my astro calendar, it says, going to the capitals, going to the airport, flying to the capitals, which is exactly what happened with her. And also in the St. James Parish, the 9th house, all religion and philosophy and people chanting and people saying prayers and all that. And 2 days later, it went to the 10th house. 10th house is the publicity and television and all that. More than 1 billion people saw her funeral. Then it went to the 11th house, which is all the vigils and all the community and mass community, people holding this thing everywhere. Then went to the 12th house, like a disappearing. Like, it's amazing. The whole chart shows up like that. And after she's gone. That's what I'm saying, that the chart never, once you're born, that's it. It never, changes. You can actually see what's going on in that chart.
But why do we need to know what happens to a person who has passed?
It just confirms certain things. Because the soul is always there. It's some element. It seems that the horoscope is like an alive thing. It never passes. There's a program out there. To me, that the planets serve no other purpose than this destiny and the free choice and all that. There's no reason for them to be there.
There's no reason for them the planets
Pluto,
to be
Neptune,
there.
Uranus. Why are they just orbiting? They used to be called wanderers. That's what the planets means in Greek.
That's because
it's like your whole destiny is that.
I would imagine they were called wanderers because back in the early times, in the Grecian times when they were called wanderers, the science wasn't there when they could actually understand how the solar system was formed, why it was formed.
But 5,000 years ago, I believe it's about 4,000, 3,500 to 4,000, right. Because Draco, the North Star was Draco at that time, which is the dragon. And in Chinese culture, the dragon is celebrated so much. So I believe that's when the astrology really was. But to me, it was revealed to the greatest of the prophets. Because if you see 12 signs, each one of them is exactly opposite to the other. and you try to make that, and then opposite, 180 degree also. For example, you take the sign of Aries and Taurus. It's like the tortoise and the hare. One is extremely impatient and all that, and the other one is totally patient. If you take Aries and Libra, completely opposite to each other, one is totally judgmental, one is totally non-judgmental. Every one of them is like that. In fact, many of the Disney characters, they're all these archetypes.
Well, that's because we live in a binary existence.
I know, but 5,000 years ago, how did they make? You try to make, like 12 signs all going around each other, both, beside each other, they are opposite, and 180 degree also opposite. It is like the rules are so impossible to make. And I'm saying this, I'm one of the best in the world. And if I can't, add one more thing to it, like it takes such a long time. My main, you feel sometimes very alone, like this 1 minute thing that I was saying for the Elvis. Not many people will understand that. I wrote hundreds of books. I've only published about 10 or 12 because many people, if they read some of my books, they will probably end up killing themselves unless they have talent. Because many of the things that I found out...
Hold on here. Why would people who read your books kill themselves?
If I increase people's sensitivity and they have no talent, because I've seen that aspect, you've got to be extremely talented. You've got to have that acute perception of an artist and a musician, and again, at the same time, be like an athlete. Like all three things are needed. Many of the people, when I find if they're not talented, and if when they take up the alcohol and all that aspect, like my child is like the worst drug addict you've ever seen, and yet I've never taken any drugs in my life. I have absolutely no idea what beer tastes like, what champagne tastes like, but everything I do is an obsession. So how you use that obsession is your free choice. So in my case, what I've done is one of my best theory hypotheses, might say, was how to offset a theme. And I found that every prayer in every religion is designed to offset a negative theme. You give because nothing belongs to us in the first place. One day it'll all be taken away. But now we give for tax deduction. So the whole concept is gone. You go to a place of worship because it brings the beggar and the king together. Like all these little things become so important, just like when you go to a ball game or something. But so all these themes are coming up. One of the most spiritual aspects is coming up about 2022.
Okay, so relate it to me when you go to a ball game.
Yes. You share with everybody. Or, for example, watching a movie at home or in a theater. It's a totally different experience. You share with everybody like masses. And the same thing when you go to a mosque or a church, anything, for example, in a mass, for example. I have nothing against the preachers and all these people. I'm just saying, like, for example, when the concept was to bring the beggar and the king together. They're shoulder to shoulder. That part becomes a very important theme, So these values, unfortunately, we start losing. We live in this virtual world. By the way, one very interesting that I realized, that 11th house in astrology used to be called community. But now the community is the whole world. Like on Facebook or YouTube. You say something, the whole world is listening to our show, for example. That's all the 12th house. So that part is like an Aquarius theme. So the internet and all these themes. So the community is a larger community, the whole world. And so that has become much more, and that becomes in 2021 and 22.
All right, stand by, Hassan. I've got to take my news break at the bottom of the hour, and Exonation will return on the other side of the news with Hassan Jaffer. His websites, AstroTrends.net and AstroCycles.net. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. This is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and Simul TV. Don't go away. We'll be back after the news. Audience, if you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
Coming soon to the X Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Hey, welcome back, Exonation. For some of the other great shows we have available for you on the X Zone Broadcast Network, they include Healing Within with Patty Conklin. We have Connecting with Coincidence with Dr. Bernie Beitman. Too Good to Be True with Justina and Peter Marsh. A Different Perspective with Dr. Kevin Randall. Let me see. Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. Imagine More Success with Thomas Hades, and, of course, Cindy Hendricks. And they're just some of the many shows that we have available. Free. That's right. No charge. You just go to www.xzbn.net. There's the full broadcast schedule available for you. Just look at the time and the date of the show you want to listen to. Click on xzbn.net, and all the shows are there. And we also have a new show that started last week. It is called America's Soul Doctor with Dr. Ken Unger. More information, www.xzbn.net, and for the X Zone TV channel on SimulTV, www.simultv.com. Hassan, how do you prepare for the amount of inquiries you must get when it comes to a new year like 2020?
Well, I Astro calendar that I made, as I said, literally makes you an astrologer in about 5 minutes. What I designed is you can put any date there, it'll immediately show these 12 colors, or 10 colors, and from that you can see if it's red, for example, in that energy you'll be vibrant, you'll be very confident and daring, like an Aries. If there's a Pisces theme, the deep green, that one would be more of the humanitarian. So immediately, and I've given even music with it, the faster tempo and the violin and all that. So just by that, plus the interpretation right there. So from the personality to even the genetic aspect, you can actually tell now that, that the child is born from, how much have they inherited from each parent. There is nothing in medicine and nothing in genetics which can do that. For example, if I want to see somebody as an artist, to me, they've got to have a connection between the Broca's region and the visual cortex in the brain. So we are going to in the neuroscience at this time to try to correlate these things directly. And sure enough, you find all the Renaissance masters from Michelangelo to Leonardo da Vinci to Rembrandt, all these people had a Mercury-Moon aspect. It's a very visual theme.
Fascinating. How can astrology be used to better a person's life? Not only financially, but is there anything that astrology can do to help them with their health?
Well, the first thing is to understand yourself. That's the first part of it, and that's also in this thing. But also when the timing is when the transits, what we call, as they are changing, how these themes are getting touched off. You have your free choice how to offset the theme. Like one of my clients called me. She said, "Hassan, you were so right on this day. You predicted I was going to have an accident, and I did." I said, "You keep saying that, you'll lose me completely." First of all, I never say it's a prediction. I would never say that you will have. I said I obviously failed to convince you to stay away from this aspect. It was a preventive aspect. I want you to say, be careful. If I said your little finger will get hurt tomorrow, to me that's blasphemous. Nobody can say that. Only God can say that.
Right.
But even though I wrote about Princess Diana that she had to be careful of freak accidents, the head and spine. At a world level, I was absolutely scared when I realized how simple that program out there is. On your show, when I predicted about the Japan tsunami, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
That one. Barbara Walters also called me, and she wanted to have a special show. And she said, "Hassan, we'd love to have you." I said, "Like hell, I said, "I tried to prevent it. I was doing everything to do something, and you people didn't do anything." So when I realized that it was the last degree of Uranus being the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the ocean. Uranus is the upsets. And I said that, the underwater earthquakes are triggering off these major tsunamis. For example, now, there's no danger of nuclear war at all. It's finished. April, May, it finished. Uranus was in the sign of Aries for 7 years. And by the way, that was my other prediction. The next day it happened, and I said it'll be a nuclear, explosion. And the next day in Fukushima happened. But now Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is the existing structures when you break them. For example, Trump met, Kim Jong-un for the first time. It's like a new thing. There's also Bitcoin. Bitcoin, all that, as for the whole banking industry going on to that. In Florida, they had to pay $700,000 to this fellow, this hacker, and it went in milliseconds, no trace. Same thing happened in Chicago. So this is going to be happening now all around the world. But that Uranus, being the sign of Taurus, all the ancient structures becoming virtual, like you'd be able to see them. So it's a complete new thing coming up. But no nuclear wars, and the new currency, the virtual currency, the bitcoins and all that is definitely going to become mainstream that I feel.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin isn't the first virtual currency. I get a laugh when people talk about that because the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar.
That specifically, it's a whole. I forget what they call it. The cryptocurrency. That's what I mean.
See, the banks have been using cryptocurrency or the electronic transfers, which is cryptocurrency, for years.
Yes, but you can trace them. But this one you cannot. It's untraceable.
Not for long. Not for long, my friend. There are means and measures that are going to be implemented within the next 3 months.
With the quantum, it's almost impossible.
No, sir. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Something I was reading, you stated that based on astrology, 3 things you could do to cure depression. What's that?
Yes, something to do, something to the action, something to be proud of, and philosophy and travel, what we're doing right now, like the philosophy part. So it's the Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius theme. The Aries theme, the first thing in depression is, for example, people become very inactive, very lethargic. And quite often, by the way, I find it's a Moon-Saturn aspect. The same thing which creates depression also is like an anemic aspect. So all you need is some iron, just 1 spoon of iron. So that's the first thing I would check. But any physical activity, that's one thing. Then something to be proud of, which gets you high. Like in your case, for example, it's your voice, it's your radio all around the world, the service that you're doing. You have a Mercury-Pluto aspect, which is mass communication around the world. In my case, Leo is part of my 9th house. 9th house indicates what you're proud of. I belong to the Prophet's dynasty. To me, it's a big responsibility how you lead a life. Whether I drive a Ferrari or live in a palace means absolutely nothing to me, as opposed to a little tiny bit of truth. That's a Leo theme in the 9th house. It's the highest house for truth and philosophy. And that's why I'm not a businessman in that aspect, no? So those 3 things. Just like, for example, if you want stability in your life, there are 3 things that you do, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn themes. The Taurus themes is the earnings, the money aspect, that you the source of earnings and all that. Virgo is some craft that you learn. And Capricorn is the long-term goals. Same thing to become objective in life, to become rational, to have the sense of humor. It's a Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius themes. Gemini is the communication. And whether it's the email or reading something, or listening to radio, or any form of communication, that's very important for that aspect, for that rational objectivity, etc. The Libra is to see the other person's viewpoint also, and for cooperation. The Aquarius is when you have an apple or innovative technology. That's the Aquarius theme, when you see outside the box. And for the empathy, compassion, feeling, sensitivity, to develop that, you do the other three things, which are the other three signs, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Cancer is the food and the home. Like, for example, Trump, he's actually a Gemini, but he has 3 planets in Cancer. He loves the children and grandchildren. Even when he was signing the documents on the presidential thing, his great, all the children were there. Yeah. His chart is like a banquet hall. He's got these 2 Leo planets, and then all these Cancer planets. So the home is like, all the Rolls Royces and all that, but at the same time, all the best of the food and all the children and all. So that's a Cancer, like mother's pizza and the home and family. That's very important for this thing, for the emotional security. The Scorpio is like the cemetery. For example, when you go to a cemetery, it really humbles you. Makes you realize that this is it's like a mortal aspect. Mm-hmm. So it brings out the best in you, like you're not as arrogant and egocentric and all that, and makes you more sensitive to the needs of others. And the Pisces theme is the humanitarian, the empathy, compassion, feeling, sensitivity, all these themes. So you asked me before, how we can use astrology. First of all, to understand yourself and your mission. Like in your case, it's a mass communication. And you have Mercury in the sign of Aries, which is like Da Vinci was born with that, Einstein was born with that. Your theories will never be complicated, like Einstein's theory with all the twin paradox and all that. So you reduce everything to its basic essential. You get right down to it immediately. So and the Pluto is like the mass consciousness. So the Mercury-Pluto is a very rare aspect. About 3 to 5% of the people are born with it. You are born with it. I'm also born with it. So immediately sings out your mission, that what you do, you'll transform the masses. So that part is there. And so once you understand that mission aspect, and also about the timing, and sometimes when people go through difficult times, they just wait for these things to finish. And I tell them, I said, that somehow you are creating those delays.
That's right.
In order to become more thorough in that. And so just use that as a test of your organizing skills. Maybe you need a better phone system or digital technology or whatever, the computers or whatever you did to do your homework more. Just something within. You can blast the planets off the orbit, you'll still behave as if they are there. And then how to use that free choice most effectively. And if we cannot do that, that's why I don't believe in the Indian astrology at all. The original Indian astrology was fantastic, but they go by all these nakshatras, the constellations in the background. And I told them, B.V. Raman and all that, some of the best astrologers, I told them, I said, listen, it has nothing to do with that. If it was, how come all these nakshatras are exactly equidistant? None of the constellations are equidistant. So it just has to do with the beginning. And because every 2.5 years, because of precession equinox, they go by one sign back. Like you would not be a leader at all. Your Mercury would be in Pisces, totally opposite sign.
All right, speaking about opposite signs, we've got to take our final break, and we'll be back on the opposite side as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Our guest this hour is Hassan Jaffer, and for more information about Hassan, visit his websites, astrotrends.net and astrocycles.net. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
www.astrotrends.net and www.astrocycles.net. They're the two websites for more information on our guest this hour, my good friend Hassan, who is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hassan, when you're out in the public and you're meeting and greeting people, what are some of the questions that you're asked most frequently?
They mostly ask about love matters and all that, but when I look at the chart, I immediately go to what they should be asking. That aspect, no.
And how do you deal with skepticism? Because not everybody's a believer out there.
Well, belief to me is the blind faith, and whereas in my case, for example, it's the highest. I cannot think of any science which is more accurate. Like if you take Tycho Brahe and Kepler. Kepler spent 20 years trying to find the retrograde motion because he said my master could not be off by 5 minutes. 20 years. And they take all his Kepler's laws and all that, except, astrology is not. But so in my case, it's all, it's the modern astrologers, we use the latest, all the gadgets and all that, so we can do a lot of phenomenal amount of research. Like one of the addictions aspects that I found was Mars-Neptune and coincide with the opiate receptors in the brain. And you can actually see that immediately. Now, whether you become a musician because of that aspect, of that addictive theme, or you go into drugs, is your free choice. Two people born the same day, in fact, the same person, on the same day, they were identical twins. They can be completely different, but the themes are identical, what you do with them. So, by the way, throughout 2020, the 4 signs which are going to be affected most are Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, because there's Saturn, Pluto, both in the sign of Capricorn, affecting them, and also Jupiter. And 2 of them they force them to transform, all kinds of delays. Throughout this year, they had a lot of delays, but throughout next year, there's some reward coming also as Jupiter moves in the sign of Capricorn. But they still are going through some major, it's like a 7-year cycle that they're coming into. But the signs for which Jupiter is really positive are the signs of Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, also Capricorn, and Pisces, as Jupiter is touching them. So they become much more optimistic, much more positive also.
How many different types of astrology are there?
I only do one type,
But how many are out there?
The different names for it, of course, the political things and all that aspect, Like in my case, with the thousands of the research that I do, I really try to stick to the basics, I'm like your chart, for example. You look at the thing which I was in this forum and they were talking about the moon's node being touched off. They don't understand it's a totally fictitious point. It gets touched off every day. And they're trying to predict some major event based on that, so it makes it very difficult.
I mean, there's Vedic astrology, there's Indian astrology.
Oh, yes.
How many,
the Chinese astrology and all that.
And
yes.
yet they're all different.
The original ones were very similar. Original Indian astrology was fantastic. If somebody is listing any Indian astrology, what I would do is I would take Ayanamsa 0. That means precession of equinox. They don't take that into consideration, and it'll be fantastic. I would love to see that interpretation because I really respect the original Indian astrology very much. The Vedic was coined in 1956 as a PR to market to the West, and they were very successful about it, actually. But throughout next year, I do see the border wall being finished, the manufacturing aspect becoming very positive again, and some major these revolutions. And China is going to become very prominent all across that. Iran, Pakistan. They just signed a $400 billion contract with Iran, actually. And the new currency coming up and all that. So there's a lot of positive things also happening there that I see. And one of the reasons I said that Trump would be good for USA is because he does have this crooked side too. He's got a saint and a con artist, both sides to him. He's a very caring person when it comes to
doesn't every politician?
Almost every politician, unfortunately, does have the Mercury Neptune. You're absolutely right. But this con aspect, in his case, is almost to a genius level. Like he's able to spot this thing completely right away because, it takes one to know one, as they say.
I guess.
And he was able to find a lot of that. Everything that he said is coming true, that aspect. But unfortunately, it also makes them trust the wrong person. But I'm so happy that Bolton is not there. Because that was a real hawk. These are like war criminals,
So when you're looking at the year 2020, what are the greatest negative aspects that you've seen?
At the government level, there's a major restructuring. And that restructuring, all the other people, the common people suffer because of it. Whether it's the FBI being restructured or the Justice Department or the Congress itself being restructured, a lot of things are coming up around the world. So the government, all the hard structures collapsing and being redefined. But the fall is going to be the fall guy. So all the normal people suffering because of that, that's the only negative aspect that I see.
You're not only an astrologer, but you're also a very well-known palmist. And how do you use palmistry and astrology, or do you use them totally separate from each other?
No, one of the things, I wrote about 5 books on palmistry with about 100 points each. And I took only 2 points, just the headline being separate or joined. And I put it in a book called Leaders and Followers. It's right on Amazon on Kindle. And I divide the entire humanity in 2 groups. Either you're motivated by the security and the regular jobs and all these aspects, or the brain line is totally separate. You become very daring and adventurous. Like Obama, for example, had brain line totally separate. He wasn't even a governor, became a 2-time president. So when you see the brain line separate, those people are very dynamic, they're very motivational and all that. But the people who have brain line joined, they're much more pragmatic type, I find.
What about Canadian politics?
I did look at Trudeau's chart. He's got a Mercury Neptune. I think he's inherited from his mother. It does give that mental stress and all that. And you see, the main aspect of Mercury Neptune, they tend to justify uncreditable act. I think he's a very good PR person for Canada. In foreign countries, they respect him a lot. He's fluent in languages. And all
the only reason they respect him in foreign countries is that he's not their prime minister.
No, I realize that. I think he would have been a fantastic foreign minister, to tell you the truth. If he was a really good leader and he was a foreign minister, it would be fantastic. Because the Mercury Neptune theme makes it a bit more difficult. Yeah. I've done more of the people at the world politics level, because here's like a free for all, anything goes. But I like that Jordan Peterson fellow. Do you know that U of T professor? I don't know if you've heard him or not.
No, I haven't.
Really, really interesting. You should really listen to it, because he was against all this transgender thing and all that, with the Z and all that, and all the pronouns. He refused to do that, and it's a brilliant one. What he has said, actually,
So what's new in the year for you? What's 2020 going to bring, Hassan and
2020
family?
is the time for finally. I can promote that Astro Calendar so that people can actually start using it.
Right.
I've used, the people from all around the world, all the programmers and all that. I've got like 60 different websites, from matchmaking to all that. And they're all slowly coming together. I've taken on so much, you see, because my brain line is totally separate. So these people just don't know the limits. So finally, I'm trying to consolidate all these things and promote the Astro Calendar, where people can see exactly what they've inherited from which parent. And there's so many things. If they want to compare themselves to another person, they can see immediately in terms of love, romance, passion, conflicts, all these things instantly. But I had to develop my own programs for all of that. That's why it's taken time. And by the time, I was ready for everything, and the whole rules changed. And of course, now everything has to be mobile responsive and all that aspect, unfortunately,
How did you go from being an engineer to being an astrologer?
Well, because I lost my mother when I was born. I always had this aspect. And plus, I always wondered why God had to make me so talented in art, music, and sports. All 3 things I was way beyond normal. And all 3 things I use in astrology. That's my calling. We were the sole distributor for Honeywell, for Duniverse, for Cleaver Brooks, all around the Middle East. But this aspect of the astrology thing, I was actually into palmistry, but to get more accurate in terms of timing, I got into astrology. Because in astrology, it's absolutely amazing. Even the dream that you can see from that, what's happening. And I really believe that we are geomagnetically tagged when we are born. I said that 20 years ago, more than that probably, with Tom Charrington. And then NASA, when they started heliobiology, that's exactly what they said about the sun's effect on us and all that. It's like a totally conclusive aspect. So I believe that we are geomagnetically tagged, and because the Earth's magnetic field is induced by the sun. And all the planets, as they're cutting the flux, for example, how it changes and how we respond to all these transits, how we react to that.
Hassan, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you, because our time is coming to an end, my friend.
Yes, they can go to astrotrends.net, as you said, and also astrocycles.net, and look for, there are 3 things. One of them is your in-depth personal analysis report, which make you understand yourself. The other one is a 12-month forecast, so you can see all the times how to best use your free choice. Not that this will happen, that will happen. It's all how to use a free choice. This is the best time for this, so to undertake that. And Astro Calendar. That one you'll absolutely love, and you can call me anytime on that one, and we'll definitely help you resolve that.
And your phone number is?
It's 416-497-9000.
And again, Exonation, the 2 websites are astrotrends.net and astrocycles.net. Hassan, to you and yours, a very Merry Christmas and a very happy, prosperous, and love-filled New Year.
Same to you. So nice to hear from you, Rob.
Nice talking to you too, my friend. Be well and be safe. Bye-bye. Exonation, if you'd like once again to get more information about our guest this hour, Hassan Jaffer, AstroTrends.net and AstroCycles.net. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. For more information about the X Zone Broadcast Network and all the great programming we have available for you 24/7, 365, visit www.xzbn.net. And for the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV, go to www.simultv.com. And don't forget, the monthly edition of the X Chronicles newspaper is out there with our compliments, 92 pages, full color, great stories, at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break, so whatever you do, my good friends, do not go away. After all, this is truly the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Are you ready? Here we go.